Well, hello and welcome to a probably very visually boring knife. We have here a Kubey. This is one of their newer budget models. They've just recently come out with an enormous amount of them, and unfortunately, they all look kind of the same and boring. But which is kind of unfortunate because they do have some nice designers behind some of them, like Max Chachuk and in this particular case, CM Design. This one is the KU332D. As you can see here, D2 and D2 and G10. This one is a dark green. I think they also just do black, and that might be it. I might be wrong on that. But yes, this thing, if you are familiar with CM Designs, they really do like their sheep's foot. You can probably see this little thing creeping in from the side here. This is a TwoSun, but it's also a CM Design. If I can actually get that there, since I've stonewashed the labeling pretty much out of existence there. But yes, this is also a CM Design, and this was the one that I'm obviously more familiar with since this is newer. And I figured I would do just a little bit of comparison things between the two of them. This one's in 14C28N, and this one's in D2. There you go with that. This one is, it's titanium with some carbon fiber, but it's a inset liner lock, so it's not quite a frame lock. It doesn't really particularly matter one way or the other there, but it is what it is. This guy seems to address a few design things that I personally didn't quite like as much with this one. And I'll kind of go over some of that there. For one, this thing does have a flipper tab on it, and the detent works out super well for that. And the hole on this thing is real easy to thumb roll open or spidey flick, as long as you actually get the correct purchase in there. Now you can do the thumb roll and the spidey flick with this one here, but it is a little bit more difficult for me with my larger pads or the tips of my fingers there, just due to the smaller slot going on there. This thing also, because it's got this finger choil here, as far as sharpened blade length, you do get quite a bit more on the Kubey here than you do on this one here. And the handle, while being, it's roughly around the same size going on here, this one, my finger really trails off the back. So this is very much a three finger knife, which is why I definitely understand why that choil's there. And you can get all four of them going on there. This one, with the handle, I can actually butt that up against my pinky, rather than having it just dangle off. So it does feel a lot more secure in that particular way. So that's nice. That does help out with some things, ergonomics and whatnot, that I end up liking just a little bit more on here. The action on this guy is pretty darn good. It's a wiggle shot for sure. And this one's certainly basically about the same. It was about the same, but now that I've done some stone washing and everything on the blade on this, it didn't help its case, but it was never drop shotty to begin with. Yeah, and we got the deep carry pocket clip here. And Kubey isn't all that bad. It's really nice and sturdy. So it doesn't feel like it'll flex really crazy out there like a lot of Civivi's longer deep carry clips do, that I'm not a huge fan of. Now you can see the screws on it are countersunk in there, but the clip itself isn't inset into the G10. And you can also see that we don't have a huge amount of space for material there. It'll work for your standard pants, but if you're wearing some thicker things during the winter months, like it is right now for us here in North America, and you're in some colder climates, you might have a little bit of trouble getting that in there. That being said, the pocket clip on the TS319 here doesn't give you a whole lot much more clearance to it. So there's that. But I do like the fact that this one has a hidden lanyard hole, which is, I mean, if you're going to have a lanyard capable folding knife, I really do prefer you put it in a backspacer or something like that, rather than just putting a hole in here. This one, the hole on it is a little trapezoidal. It's meant to mimic the hole on the blade there. So at least it's got some design language. And hey, the pocket clip, you can swap that over and be all sorts of lefty or offhand for you. So that's definitely nice to see. I would still like them to inset that just a little bit, but hey, that would have actually required milling on this side after the P-Apply G10 was done and cast, and that would have added to the cost. So, what are you going to do? As I probably mentioned, yeah, this guy also has a flipper tab for opening them along with the others. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. I can go ahead and do some size comparisons. Obviously, this thing's on the smaller side here. So I won't bore you with some of the larger knife comparisons in here, but here's the K-Bar Dozier Folding Hunter. Here we go. We got the Benchmade 940. It's a little bit more 945 size, but hey, I don't have one of those. And, well, let's see. Also, why not? The Kalashnikov 74. I appreciate the Desert Warrior pattern there. Yeah, I think that'll probably do that for some of those size comparisons. Let's see. I do have some measurements, so I can get a little bit more precise with some of that. Yeah, I'm on inches here. So, as we can see, pretty easily and definitively under 3 inches for the blade. 0.925 or so. As compared to this one, which is less, and you also lose some from the finger choil there. So yeah, you are getting more cutting blade on that one in particular. And this one is also, well, probably a heck of a lot thinner. Yeah, 0.52 essentially. Yeah. Whereas this one, quite a bit thicker. Yeah, 6.25 or 0.625. And there's also, of course, the blade stock thickness, which on this one is less. We have basically like 3.15 millimeters, and this one's probably 3.6, 3.7. 3.7. They're both a saber grind, but this one's kind of a mid-saber grind, and this one's way up top there, as you can see. So this one's pretty darn close to a full flat grind. But yeah, they both come down to basically right around the same kind of thickness behind the edge. Not a laser beam, but you know, definitely with this size and the way these knives are designed, they are designed for a little bit more hard use, more than you would get from a laser beam like blade. So that's nice. Yeah, so I did want to kind of take a look on the inside of this guy too, because that's always fun. And yeah, we do have T6 for the those inset pocket screws, but the rest is T8. So hey, they're moving up in the durability world as far as well, as far as hardware goes, at least. So yeah, we can pull that off. If I didn't point it out earlier, you are able to swap that to be a lefty. Obviously, a liner lock is almost always going to be a right-handed affair. I've seen very, very small numbers of some Chris Sabenzas and, Chris Reeve, and some Spyderco compression locks that have had left-handed versions made, but they were, you know, very small and in numbers. So, all right, yep, we got G10 scale, flip that over, and yeah, we can see it's a little rough on the inside there, but hey, you don't interface with that at all. I don't really care at all about that. All right, and there we are. I can pop off that liner here. There's the stop pin for it right there. And we can see we got a little bit of scratching going on here. After I had recently just done about the same thing when I was fixing a Towser K from Kaiser, I've done basically the same exact kind of oops thing there. So I can definitely tell that they hand fit the liner on this one in particular afterwards. Happens a lot of times. You will do a little bit more manual kind of fixing on things. Yeah, we got the blade right there. Nothing super special going on the inside there. No burr on either side here. So that's a little interesting. And there we go. We got the ceramic bearings and brass cages, which is it's kind of nice. A little bit more premium than some others do. A lot of times with more budget knives, I'll see if they are using brass cages. They're generally steel bearings, so there's that. Their pivot is much like Civivi's, where it has a little tiny notch here that actually interfaces with a little notch on the G10 or micarta or wherever kind of scale material is going on there. And that basically keeps the logo always facing the way that they want. What I've noticed in Civivi's case, along with these guys, is that this isn't fully attached. It's also screwed on. They use Loctite on it for sure. But I haven't had it happen on here, but I have had it happen on my Civivi Praxis, where this end cap actually becomes loose. So basically, the pivot on this is just a barrel. It doesn't have the end thing attached to it. Not you know, the end of any worlds, but hey, it is what it is. Just got to make sure that you have that lined up correctly when you're putting the knife back together. Speaking of, I should do that. Let's get the blade stop pin there, which isn't internal to the blade. That would have taken a little bit more machining and whatnot to get that to interface correctly with the scales, or not the scales, but the liners, and it's just a little bit easier to use a stop pin like that. Doesn't cheapen the knife at all. Works absolutely the same and goes back together super nice and smooth. The matte finish black that they have going on the blade is interesting. For that, it usually reminds me a bit of some Cerakote or something like that. Something that's a little bit more rough kind of feeling. But yeah, most companies these days, especially the more budget Chinese companies, really never talk about what coatings they actually use. Probably because they're not, you know, the most durable and marketable phrases. It's not going to be like DLC or Cerakote a lot of times. So they just say, it's a black blade. Don't worry about it. But this does feel a little bit more durable than some of Cold Steel's old blacking that they've used on some blades, like Recon 1 or something like that. Let's see if I can't find what I am talking about. Yeah, here we are. I knew it was in that drawer. It was staring me right in the face, and I still didn't get it there. But yeah, Cold Steel used to use these just kind of black paint kind of things. It wasn't anything super special. These things are just a little bit more durable than that. So it's nice that the technology has moved forward in over the years, so that's pretty darn good. Overall, I mean, if you can get over the fact that this thing looks like a mid-Sunday afternoon nap, then it's actually a really nice and functional tool. But, you know, if you are really worried about aesthetics in general, I would probably stay away from Kubey's budget knives. Like I said, they do make some higher end stuff that's a little bit more interesting, that usually uses S35 VN steel and titanium or aluminum and things like that. They're a little bit more interesting. But yeah, pretty nice quality product for, geez, I paid I paid about $30 for this. They do go for a little bit more than that. I think like 35. This was a return from White Mountain Knives because the blade wasn't centered on it. And I played around a little bit, and yeah, it is maybe just a little bit off, and it's not something that I was able to fully rectify with doing all the different adjustments that I would do to try to fix that. But it's also not rubbing. The action's nice on it, so yeah, super happy with it. But yeah, I mean, in general, I just wanted to take a look at a Kubey knife because I haven't actually had one in my collection up to this point. And since I do like to take a look at and use a lot more budget knives, I figured I should probably do that at some point. So there we go with that. One thing also at the very end here I do want to point out is the liners on this thing. Yeah, they are coated, but they are nice and rounded off, which apparently you don't always get at this price point. Case in point, I got a couple of free tigers in recently. This is one of them here that I will be talking and or bad-mouthing about in just a little bit. But yeah, very, very sharp around the all of the liner edges there. So that's annoying, and they were pretty darn close to the same price there. So yeah, that's... You know, I guess if you're looking for something right in that $30, $35 range, then, you know, these guys work. And, well, Gonzos also work for that same price with the same materials and stuff like that. So, all right. Well, that's basically everything I wanted to talk about. I was mostly curious on this one because I already had a CM designed. I wanted to see what was different. And, yeah, this does seem to be an iteration and, in my opinion, a little bit more improved version overall of this TwoSun TS319. So, alrighty. Well, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, especially if you made it through this particular snooze fest of a knife. And, well, have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe, please.